second mechanism is by using runnable interface. By using runnable interface. How I can create a thread by using runnable interface? So actually your runnable interface is like this. So which is implemented by your thread class. Okay, this is the actual hierarchy. So runnable is an interface which is implemented by your thread class. So this runnable contains only one method, and that is a run method. This runnable interface contains only one method. So interface means you already know. We will not write definition for the run method. They have wrote only declaration. So runnable interface contains only one method, that is run method. So whenever you want to create a thread by using a runnable interface, you need to follow these things. Okay. So the first one is you need to create a class that implements runnable. So you have to create a class that implements runnable. So as usual, what is that you have to do is override, or we'll call it as implement the run method. Okay. Since your class is implementing an interface, it should implement the methods in it. What method runnable interface is having? Only run method, only one method. So next, so now you have to do is, the main problem is your runnable interface does not contain the start method. So you cannot call it. So first what is you have to do is create object of class created in step 1. So in this step, whatever class you have created, for that object you have to create. Is that right? The third one is you need extra steps here. Create object of thread class and pass the object created in. So this is step 1, 2, 3, 4. Object created in step 3. So you have to create the object of the thread class. So now here you will be using the one more constructor of your thread class. So what parameter it takes? It takes the runnable interface parameter. So whichever class you are creating, it is a class which is implementing the runnable interface. So that object you are going to pass here. Because why we need this is because I cannot call start method directly by using this object. Previously, what is that we said t1.start we were able to do. But here you cannot do that by using the object of this particular class, because your runnable interface does not contain the start method. It contains only the run method. So only we are going to create the thread class object again, pass this as parameter to thread class, then call the start method. The last one is call start method with thread class object. Very important. So the thing is, you cannot call by using this class object. With this class object, it is not possible. You are going to call the object with this object which you are creating in step 4. Okay, I'll show you. See, I'll create a class, the same thing what we did, thread DA. Nothing but previously what we wrote extends. Here we'll write implements runnable. Runnable is an interface. So same, I'll override public void run method. I will write for int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 3, I plus plus system.out.println thread DA. I'll close the thread. So that is my step 2. Okay. So the main thing is the difference is there in the here, only the difference is this is the only difference. Rest of the code is same. Previously you wrote extends thread. Now I am writing implements runnable. Go to the main class. Here only you'll get the difference. Class suppose thread demo, or I'll say runnable demo. Runnable demo. So what is that I'll do? Public static void main string args. String args. First I'll create object for this. So thread A. Object I created is A1. Thread A. Okay. I cannot call A1.start. That is the problem. This is not possible. A1.start is not possible. I cannot call the thread by using this object. So that's why what we do is we create thread class object. Predefined class. Thread class is a predefined class. T1 is equal to new thread of. Here will pass A1. Here will pass A1. Now I'll call A1 dot, sorry. Now I'll call T1 dot start. Okay. You want, you can write your main thread for I is equal to 1, int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 3, I plus plus, the same thing what you did previously. So this is your main thread. This is your main thread. Okay. I hope you understood the difference. This is where you are going to get the difference. I cannot call the thread class by using this one. Is that right? I cannot call the thread class start method by using this object. Okay. So now, whenever I call this, as usual, the control goes to the start method, which calls the run method and it gets executed. Okay. So now, as usual, the output will be same process. This you have two thread switchings will take place. So now, if I don't give this, if I don't give the thread class object here, this one, I'm not giving the object here. What happens? What happens? Will it generate error? Will it generate error? Will it generate error? Okay, so it will not generate error because this constructor is valid constructor. This constructor is valid constructor, but this does not call the start method belonging to this, and thereby it does not call this run method. It does not call the run method. Options I'll put here: compile time error, or runtime error. Third one is, what do you say? No output. The D is thread A thrice, then main thread. Okay, so what happens is whenever I call this start method, it goes to the start method of the thread class. Okay, it does not belong to this one because we are not passing the parameter. There is no link between this one and this one. This is a normal thread. Now, whenever I call the start method, it goes to the normal start method which is there in the thread class, and it executes the normal run method. Already I told you that run method contains empty implementation. So what output you will be getting is you will not get any output. You are going to get an empty output. No output will be displayed. It will not generate any error. No compile time error, no runtime error. But since you are not linking this object with this one, it is going to run only the empty implementation of the method. Okay, so that's it. There are a few more things. We'll see it later. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? No output, yeah. Good. Okay, so yesterday we were discussing about the mechanism of creating the thread by using runnable interface. So this is how we have created the thread yesterday, and this is how we have called the thread. So now instead of doing this, if I do this way, so that is I have the object A1 and T1. If I call A1 dot start, what happens? Instead of T1 dot start, if I call A1 dot start, what happens? So now start method is not defined in this class. Is start method is there in this class? No. Is it there in the runnable interface class? Interface? It's not there. So this is going to generate compile time error. This will generate you compile time error because start method is not there in this class, as well as it is not there in the interface that you are implementing. So now this is one way. The second one is if I call a1.run, what happens? If I call a1.run, to confuse you, they'll give this things instead of calling t1.start, they will call a1.start. A1 is the object of this class. So yesterday we studied that whenever you are using a runnable interface, you cannot directly call the start method because start method is not defined in the runnable interface. Runnable interface contains only one method, that is run method. So now if I call a1.run, so it is going to execute, you will not get any error, but it executes as a normal method. So this run method will be executed, not the run method which is in the runnable this interface. So now this method will be executed. It will not function like thread. So that's what we discussed when we discussed about thread class also. It will work as if you are calling a normal method in a normal class. So normal class, you are having a method, you are calling the method by using the object. Similar way it will be executed. So one thread only will be there. You will not have two threads. You will not have your main thread and the child thread. You will have only one thread which is your main thread. So this will not work as a thread because you are using the your normal method, how you are calling the same way you are doing. So this is about runnable interface. So now the question is, we have two ways of creating thread. We have two ways of creating thread. One is by using runnable interface. By using runnable interface. So the other one is by using thread class. Okay. One option is by using runnable interface. Some thread B extends thread. We have two ways of creating the thread. One is by using thread class. Another one is by using runnable interface. Now, in these two things, which is efficient, which is recommended. Okay. So the thing is, this one is recommended. By using runnable interface, it is recommended. Why is? Because one main reason is, so whenever you are extending a class with one, you cannot extend multiple things. Whenever you are extending this, there is no option of your class extending some other class because extends A comma B is not possible. That's what we discussed in multiple inheritance. Extends A comma B is not possible. So that's why it is suggested to go with runnable interface. So runnable interface means you can extend some other features. When you have the option of having a class and an interface, then better you go for runnable interface because you can extend other features which are required for your class, for which you don't have any other option. You don't have an interface. So in such a case, you can go for this one. So that is why what we do is instead of using this one, we use this. And there are memory related aspects also in which your runnable interface is more efficient than your thread class. So this is recommended than this one. Okay. So that is how you are going to create threads by using runnable interface and thread class.